Hello, everyone. This is Amy Jo Goddard, and today I want to talk to you about something that comes up in the work that I do all the time. I've been teaching sexual empowerment work with women in particular for many, many years. And over the years, oftentimes in groups, I will ask the women, what qualities do you need most in order to feel sexually empowered or to feel empowered in your life? And the number one thing that is said over and over again, hands down, it's the answer I get all the time, is confidence. So it's either confidence in general or sexual confidence. And so, I've been teaching for a long time and hearing this for a long time. And so I started to look at that. I wanted to start to understand how confidence was really working in people and how I saw it showing up in money and business, in sex and intimacy and relationships, and then in the overall way that people were experiencing their lives. And what I found as I started to really research confidence is that confidence is not a either you have it or you don't kind of operation. And I think that that's how most people think of it. They're just like, oh, she's really confident. I'm not. I don't have it. I don't have the secret sauce. And so I think people go into a lot of like feeling of deficit around confidence. And as I started to look at how confidence was working in different people, what I realized is that there are different confidence types. There's different styles of confidence, right? So not everyone is using the same mode of confidence or the same tools of confidence to achieve what they wanted to want, what they want to achieve in their lives and in their relationships. So today I want to talk to you about the 5 confidence types. And before I do that, I really want to encourage you to take the confidence quiz. You can take it at amyjogoddard.com/confidence quiz, because the results and the things I'm about to talk about are going to mean more to you if you have a sense of what your type or your types are. Sometimes people have kind of a combined type. That is also possible. And actually, I think that in some ways that is desirable, because there's different kinds of qualities, currency around confidence that are going to work better in different situations for different people. So let's jump in. I really want to talk about these 5 confidence types, and I'm just going to share my screen with you for a minute. So these are, here we go. Yes. So 5 confidence types. Again, the quiz is at amyjogoddard.com/confidence quiz. So let's talk about the first type. The first type is the power player. And I think the power player is kind of the classic confidence type. It's the thing that most people think of when they think of someone with a lot of confidence. So the power player is, the risk taker, the smooth operator. Her desire ultimately is that she wants it all, right? She wants the power, she wants the success, she wants the acclaim, and she wants the love. And she believes that she can have it all, and she's going for it. She is on the train and she's going for it. You can get on the train or not, but she is not going to be stopped. That is very power player. So her energy vibe is that she's unstoppable. She seems to have it all. She seems to like know what to do, right? There's an air of competency around the power player, and an air of absolutely of knowing like where she's going, why she's going there, and going for it, right? Making things happen in her life. So her style is really bold and fierce. She comes off as very bold, very fierce, and her emotional tone is excited, it's ready, and it's also often superior. Because the truth is, she does sometimes think she's better than other people, because she's got it going on, right? And so there's a superiority that can be there. And so the results of that are that A, she's successful at multiple things. She's able to do a lot of things in her life. She's able to manage a lot of different things. And that's definitely worthy of admiration. But she also intimidates people, right? She intimidates them, yet she attracts them, right? Which is, of course, what intimidating people often do. It's like, you know, wow, there's something really fascinating about you that I really like, but I'm also really intimidated and I'm not sure like how to get close to you. So I think people often have that response with the power player. And so ultimately she can come off as arrogant. That's another result of her way, right? And ultimately her fear, like her deep fear, is that people are not going to love all of who she is, right? They're not going to love all of you. They're not going to be able to handle all of you, right? So that's the power player. And so what I really want to say to the power players out there are, in terms of the developmental challenges, right? Or the needs that are before you. Number one is stop letting other people's insecurity affect you, right? A lot of times very insecure people will put themselves around the power player, and a lot of times there will be a lot of judgment of the power player and of her go-getterness, which really is related to their own insecurity. And ultimately that can impact a power player when there's enough of that around, like feeling like, she can't just be all of who she is, right? That's that deep fear. Like, I can't be all of who I am, right? And so the next thing is to learn how and when to be vulnerable. Vulnerability is so key for the power player, right? So it's time to soften the hard edges and also to stop needing to be right. The power player loves to be right, right? She's on a mission. She's doing it. She's confident in her ability to do it. And a lot of times that comes at the expense of those around her, through that superiority and what can come off as real arrogance and the need to be right. So to work on that need to be right, to soften, to be more vulnerable with people, that's going to allow people to come closer to you as a power player, and it's going to make you more effective all the way around. Okay, so this is the perfect lead in to the next type, which is the warm connector, right? So the warm connector is the social butterfly. She plays well with others, and her real desire is to be appreciated and acknowledged. So the warm connector, her energy vibe is kind, it's friendly, and it's eager, right? She's like, there's an eagerness in her energy. She's the helpful leader, and she's also a social facilitator. So she does well in social situations, and she uses connections to build herself up, right? She is the connector, that warm connector. She likes to connect people with each other. She likes to facilitate that. And so her emotional tone tends to be joyous or playful or more lighthearted, right? And so the result for the warm connector is that she will have large circles of influence. She will be well known. And the downside of all of that is that she can get spread too thin, right? It's like there can be too much because she wants to say yes to everything. She wants to be at every party. She wants to help people make the connections they need to. And so sometimes she sets poor boundaries. The deep fear with the warm connector is that you're a fraud, is that you're not really that great, right? So that's a tough one. That's a real tough one. So thinking about what would help the warm connector to develop, right? The developmental needs that are there for the warm connector is number one, release your need for appreciation from others, right? Because a lot of the activities of the warm connector are driven by the need for appreciation, validation from others. And so there's a way in which she lacks authenticity because there's this other thing that's going on, right? There's kind of like this dual thing going on. You'll be able to actually be more authentic if you release that need. Number two, know that you're enough. You are enough. You do enough. You connect people enough. You get to say no. You get to say no when you need to say no. And so the third thing is really to release your caretaking role and the people pleasing that you often do for others. Warm connectors tend to do a lot of caretaking of people around them. They want everybody to be okay. They're the one at the party that's checking in with everybody, making sure everybody's okay, right? That's the warm connector. So that doesn't always serve her in what she needs, okay? All right, so let's look at the third type, which is the Enigma, okay? So the Enigma is the tease, right? She's the tease of the confidence types. And I think a lot of times we can think of that as being a negative, but there's actually a lot of real positive aspects of the Enigma, right? She does tend to be a mixed bag, right? Which thus the name, right? She's a bit of a mixed bag. There's some contradictions and a lot of protection. Really, her deep desire is deep, authentic connection and intimacy. Ultimately, that is what an Enigma wants. She wants real connection. She doesn't always know how to do that or how to let people get close to her. So her energy vibe tends to be unpredictable. She tends to run kind of hot and cold, and she's very mysterious. Her style is that she's cool, she's hip, she's very together, right? She's got it going on. You know, people are curious about the Enigma, right? That air of mystery, plus her ability to be kind of flirtatious, you know, sexy, to draw people to her, right? That enigmatic part of her is very, very attractive to other people. Her emotional tone, though, can be defensive and also in grief. So underneath everything with the Enigma is that there's actually a deep level of grief. And a lot of times that grief comes out in her defensiveness, in the way that she pushes people away, right? And so what that creates are confusing relationships, right? And confusing reactions from other people. She doesn't always understand what's going on. She's creating this confusion through this hot, cold, yes, no, maybe I will, maybe I won't kind of vibe she's got going on. And so when you have that, people aren't sure how to interact with you. And then that can create a potential drama around you, which, you know, we don't want, right? So her deep fear is that people are not going to stay, right? That she's going to be abandoned. And so that actually is a lot of what's driving everything underneath. That's the protection. That's the defendedness that kind of keeps people away. So for the Enigma, right, it's really about getting out of your own way, also learning to be vulnerable in the way that the power player needs that, but it's a little bit different with the Enigma, right? Learning to let people in, to let people get closer to you, to let people know what's really going on instead of being like kind of coy or keeping them at a distance, right? So releasing your need to defend will move mountains for the Enigma, because people are already curious about the Enigma. They want to be close to the Enigma, but as long as you're keeping people at bay, you're not allowing yourself to have all of what you could have in your relationships, in your creativity, and in your work. So the other thing for the Enigma is to learn to communicate more directly. She has a hard time just saying directly what she needs. So she kind of like goes around the block to get her needs met, which when you're seducing someone or you're in a flirtation can be super fun. But in many other situations where you really need to be clear so that you can get a need met or so that you can honor the relationship that you're in, that doesn't work. So that's the Enigma. All right, let's look at the fourth type. Here we go. So the fourth type is the Sassy Sceptic. Okay, so the Sassy Sceptic is kind of the naysayer. Like, it's like, yeah, show me what you got, right? So the Sassy Sceptic keeps her distance with kind of that state of non-belief, right? It's sort of like, you got to prove yourself to the sassy skeptic, right? So the desire truly of the sassy skeptic is that she really wants to put herself out there. She wants to be successful, and she really wants perfection. She's a total perfectionist. Okay. Her energy vibe tends to be a bit cold. It can be very aloof, which again keeps people away. People don't know how to get close to the sassy skeptic. But she's also very funny and very sarcastic, right? And so that's her cultural currency, right? Is that like sense of humor and that like keeping people like having a good time and laughing, right? Her style, because she is the skeptic, right? The sassy skeptic, is that she's very challenging of people. She's challenging of ideas. She's not just going to go along with the things that you say, right? And she also tends to control social situations, right? And other people. She often does that through her humor, through her sarcasm, through her quips at things, right? It directs energy in particular ways. She comes off as angry oftentimes and stoic, because really there is anger underneath sarcasm, right? Sarcasm isn't pure. There's always a little bit of anger or a little edge underneath sarcasm. Or there can just be that stoicism of like, yeah, show me what you got. So the result is that the sassy skeptic has stormy relationships, right? Often unreliable relationships, because people don't know how to get close. People are afraid they're going to get their heads bitten off, or they're going to get it wrong. And so they avoid, or there's that controlling dynamic that happens, and it pushes people away, and they will go, right? So there's an unhealthy expression of anger happening with the sassy skeptic, right? The deep fear ultimately with the sassy skeptic is you're not worthy, you're not good enough. Really, at the end of the day, that's the belief, that they're not good enough. They want to be better, but they're not, right? So for the sassy skeptic, it's really about developing your capacity for possibility, right? That you let go of your need for perfection and control so that you can allow for other possibilities and things to happen in your life. And also, really huge developmental need is to work on your patronizing behavior, right? A lot of times the sassy skeptic is a bit patronizing, and they can be very passive aggressive, right? Because again, sarcasm is passive aggressive. Sarcasm is not direct, but it's like a zinger. It's a way to like zing somebody with something. So with the sassy skeptic, that is really the goal. If you work on that passive aggressive behavior and you work on being more open and less controlling, less connected to that need for perfection, your sense of humor and your skills will take you a long way, right? The sassy skeptic definitely can draw people to her. She's very, very good at that. All right. And so then the last type is the wallflower, right? So the wallflower is the classic shrinking violet, right? Wears her shyness on her sleeve. Her deep desire is to be liked and to be loved, right? To not be alone. She doesn't want to be alone. She often is, though, right? That's the energy vibe of the wallflower. She's up against the wall. She's not talking to people. She's stuck. She's lonely. There's a sense of lack, a sense of not having, right? Whether it's not having purpose, not having friends, not having drive, not having whatever. And the style is very quiet, and it also can be very diminutive, right? And that actually kind of becomes the thing for the wallflower, right? Wallflowers are often self-deprecating, and they use self-deprecating humor or charm, and that's sort of like their cultural currency. That's kind of how they make connection or draw people to them, through that kind of weird self-deprecating charm. And it kind of becomes a thing that works, and then they'll keep doing it, right? So the emotional tone is very afraid. It's anxious, right? Socially anxious, and also kind of fragile, right? People are like kind of afraid, like, can this person handle this, which again is going to keep people away. And that's not what the wallflower wants, right? So the result is that the wallflower doesn't have relationships, or if they do, those relationships tend to be fairly unhealthy, right? They're not based in the right things. In business, it would be very hard for a wallflower to make sales. You're not going to convince people to buy from you or to work with you if you are in deep in the wallflower and unable to really connect with people, right? There's a way in which the wallflower is living in deprivation. They don't have boundaries. They're a doormat. People walk all over them, and that's not healthy for the wallflower. So again, that's why when they do have relationships, they tend to be unhealthy relationships where people are taking advantage of the wallflower. The deep fear of the wallflower is that you're not likable or lovable, right? That's the deep fear at the end of the day. And again, it goes right along with the desire. I want to be liked. I want to be loved. I don't want to be alone. That is the desire of the wallflower. So what does the wallflower need to do developmentally? What are the needs for the wallflower? Develop self-love, number one, really. To work on that self-love so that other people do want to come closer, so they see something in you, so that they feel that love you have for self and it draws them to you. You don't have to be, egregious, like the warm connector or really out there socially. You can still be quieter, be a quieter personality, but be in a place of love, confidence in yourself. And it's really about finding and developing your own voice so that you stop getting walked all over, right? Learning to set boundaries, right? Learning what's important to you so that you can set the right boundaries. And also to stop the people pleasing. There is a lot of people pleasing behavior in the wallflower because they so need to be liked. They so are afraid of losing whoever is close to them that they'll do anything to keep people near them. So those are the 5 types. That's just a basic overview of them, but I think it's really helpful to begin to see how people use their own currency of confidence in their lives. We all have a currency of confidence. We all have the ability to do that. And and to really to be powerful and confident in our own ways. So a lot of times people will say, well, do I want to be a power player if I'm not? Or what's the goal here? The goal isn't to be one type or another. The goal is to boost the abilities that you naturally have, and then to see if you can bring in some of the other abilities. Ideally, you'd have a little bit of all of these, right? You'd have the ability to know when to hang back and be quieter and when to move forward, when to use your humor, when to use your friendliness, when to help facilitate things socially, when to just go for the thing that you want and not feel like you have to worry about running people over, right? Which sometimes the power player can do. So it's about really having all of these skills and abilities and being able to pull on those. So if you haven't taken the confidence quiz, definitely take it. Again, it is at amyjogoddard.com /confidence quiz. So you can do that right now and find out what your confidence type is. You probably have some sense just from listening, but it's very interesting to take the quiz. We field tested it until we felt very confident that we were getting accurate results. So I think that you'll enjoy the quiz. It's only 15 questions, super easy to do. And if you're interested in finding out more about how to develop confidence, definitely check the links below because I do a lot of teaching around this. This is a core aspect of my work as a sexual empowerment educator, author, and speaker. So it's great to get to share this with you. I love getting to teach about this. Please pop some comments below. I would love to hear what you think of this. And if the information about your own type makes sense to you, pop some comments below and I will see you again very soon.